Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special game over here that we have. While we're on this loading screen, I'm going to explain to you what exactly is going on over here. So as you see, we have 8 pro players: Core, Nevix, Szalami, Beastie, Kaio, Recon, Snoopa, and Dinky King. All of these are really good players, all in the top 100, regularly playing in tournaments. Now, what you're going to witness today is a free-for-all Megarandom Nomad game. This is a game that's being played with tuning packs, which is one of the new features of the new spring patch of Age of Empires 4. It is basically a game with mods, and one of the mods that they are going to play is the Nomad mod. Now what it means is that every single player is going to start without a town center, and they can choose where they want to build their starting town center. The second thing to discuss is that this is a free-for-all, which means that no teams are there, you fight against everybody at the same time. Now, from my experience, and this is something I want to talk about before we go into the final stage, which is Megarandom, is that the top left panel actually is a little bugged for this. Because even after town centers are constructed, you're not going to see the current resources or resource income per minute. Like, essentially that panel is going to be useless. You see, these 4 things, the landmark, sacred site, and wonder tracker, alongside a player score, which you can see on the right side anyways, are displayed, but for whatever reason, you don't see the incomes per minute, the current resources shown up. This being said, the last component of this match is Megarandom, which is a new map that was introduced in the spring patch. It is a map that spawns, as the name suggests, completely random. So as you see, we have a bay on the left side with a lot of fish. Right side is going to be mostly open lands. In Megarandom, anything can happen. So, free-for-all Megarandom over here. This has increased in popularity quite a lot in the recent days because it often delivers crazy games. And the most important thing to note is that you might be looking at this map and saying, hey, what a great start for Dinky King, for example, in red, right next to that bay. Well, the thing is that Megarandom, and in general this Megarandom FFAs, are not about being fair. It's all about backstabbing one another, sniping landmarks, winning with wonders, or at least attempting to do so. If you're looking for something super competitive, this is not necessarily the thing to look at. This is going to be about the craziness, but that's the thing that is exciting in these games. Now, let's introduce the players real quickly over here, because as you see, they're building up their town centers right now. So we do have a Core over here on the right side playing as the blue. Recon is going to be playing with the Delhi Sultanate in purple. Right next to him on the right side is going to be Dinky King playing as the red English. And to the north, there is Kaio playing in pink. On the very northern corner of the map, Szalami is playing as the teal. Down south of him is going to be in green Snoopa. Far right corner is possessed by Nevix right now in yellow. Right next to him is going to be Beastie. And the first thing that we'll have to look at is that, as you see, Dinky King and Kaio, or it's actually Recon rather, Dinky King and Recon are right next to each other. So there could be a lot of early aggression going on. Now, as you see, Recon is walking across the map over here with this poor Delhi villager. One of the components of this game is that your villagers don't spawn at the same place. So you have to sort of converge to a central location where your town center is at. Beast is going to decide to do something different though. He's just dropping a lumber camp here, and he's gonna be like, okay, I might as well just chop wood over there, drop a mill here, gather the food with that villager. It actually probably turns out to be better to just walk back over there. Looks like, for now, Dinky King doesn't have a ton of wood to work with, but we're going to talk about that a little bit more. As you see, Kaio is playing with the French, and Kaio's got food issues. You see, he's chopping wood, he's bringing in the sheep right now. He just popped out his first scout, and he's already dropped farms. Now, Recon does have food available. He's taking the hunt. For Core, it looks like he's also going to have food issues right now because his town center is right next to a gold mine. Now, keep in mind that you can try to look for the perfect spot, but A, you don't start with a scout. B, the more you look for the perfect spot, the more you delay building that town center. And every 20 seconds you delay your town center, you lose a villager essentially. So you have to consider those things when you're trying to find yourself a spot. Looks like Nevix is in a pretty comfortable spot here. He's playing English. And one of the reasons why I love the English in these Megarandom FFAs is because even if you don't start with a lot of food around your town center, you can still work it out very easily because you have the farming. Mosque already dropped over here for recon. I'm fairly certain that they are unaware of each other here. With Dinky King, oh no, look at that. He sees the destroyed lumber camp. So they're probably aware of each other's presence. Now that's an awkward looking farm, by the way, right next to the town center of Dinky King. Would you look at that? That farm is just so weird. Core, it looks like he pretty much abandoned his town center with most of his villagers. Szalami also playing the English, just like Nevix, he's going to focus on farming quite a lot. And you see now that the town center is up, the players start to think about scouts and start popping out the scouts to collect sheep with and also collect information. This is where Dinky King is going to realize that, oh shoot, I'm right next to recon here. And this is problematic because you will have to fight that dude. It's a free-for-all, so it is all about trying to knock out everybody. But in many cases, as you will see, in a free-for-all game, the players that don't fight at the beginning benefit from this setup the most. By the way, Dinky King does have a lot of shorefish to operate with, and that's going to give him a great source of food. But wood is a problem, because you see his only forest was on the left side, and that is not something that he has access to now that recon is there. There's also a big bay over here, so we could see some fishing coming up. Let's see, no dogs just yet, and oh, look at that. Dinky is chopping a stealth forest. That's not a good start for him. He does have that farm still on that hillside. That just looks so awkward, man. In the meantime, for Nevix, oh, he's going to see that scout, and it looks like the scout is getting away for Beastie. Beastie got spotted by Nevix. This is where he's like, oh shoot, I've been picking berries over here right next to Nevix's base the whole time. Oh no. Looks like he's going to make it back home though. Now, looking at the overall positions, Szalami, he's quite nice and comfy in that northern corner, but I think the best position belongs to Core. He's so far away from everybody, and that means that he doesn't have to fight people at the beginning, whereas this left side of the map is very crowded, so this trinity of Dinky, Kaio, and Recon, we could see a lot of battles between these. As you see, even with the town centers up, you don't get your stats of current resources, incomes per minute, and whatnot, so it's a little sad. I'm sorry for that, but obviously it's not my fault, so it is what it is. This farm is still looking very awkward in that hillside. Survival techniques is queued up after wheelbarrow here for recon, whereas for core, it looks like he is not moving towards the water just yet. We do have 2 trade posts over here, by the way, something that you could use in the future, and recon is now going to start thinking about getting some fishing ships going. In the meantime, for Beast, it looks like he's moving all the way to the south over here to mine gold. You see, his town center is pretty far away from gold deposits, and now Dinking is dropping the council hall. Recon, at latest now, he is going to see that his opponent is right next to him, and he sees the council hall coming up. So the question is, how is he going to respond to this one? Because Recon, he's not far away from Feudal Age, but he's lacking a little gold and food to get up. Meanwhile, for Kaio, he is just going to be sort of the quiet witness of that battle, I would think, because he's probably going to try avoiding any engagement with those. We haven't talked about Snoopa yet. He's playing with the Chinese in green. He's got a nice and comfy position, I would say here. Not really a position to be threatened in, at least not at the beginning. Szalami could be dangerous to him in the future, but for now he's at a relatively safe position. Still, you want to be close to the edge of the map, because if you're close to the edge of the map, that means that you limit the amount of directions you can get attacked from. Whereas for Snoopa, he's in the middle of the map. To a certain extent, Beastie is as well, and that could leave them exposed from multiple directions. Speaking of which, it looks like Beastie is in danger of losing one villager over here to Kaio's scout. I'm not exactly sure where this villager is coming from. It might have been the lumberjack that Beastie left over out there, but it looks like the villager is likely getting picked off. He's still so far away from that town center. That's going to be a dead villager here for Beastie. Kaio is going to be like, yoink! And that's the free-for-all here. You find an open villager, you kill it. By the way, one thing we haven't talked about this one in this sort of peaceful time still, which is probably going to change soon with the players getting to Feudal Age, is that technically you can play this to a certain extent with a bit of a diplomacy. So if you feel like, oh shoot, you know, I'm losing against this guy, maybe you can somehow convince your other neighbor to try and help out against another guy. You never know. So I'm not exactly sure if they can directly communicate with each other. I would think no, but unfortunately in the spectate mode we're not going to see chat, and sometimes in these diplomacy games, especially from my experience with AoE 2, where these are pretty popular community games, sometimes just, even if you need to, just type in the public chat, hey, someone help me. And you could ask, why would they help you? It's because, well, maybe you're afraid of a different player, and maybe you just want to make sure, oop, bit of lag spike. So maybe you're just afraid of a player very much, and double teaming someone could definitely help taking down a more dangerous player. This being said, as you see, Dinky King had to relocate his lumberjacks to the right side, and now we have a bit of a scuffle over here between Recon and Dinky King. He's going to start shooting at those villagers building the tower. Looks like no villager gets taken down until this very moment. The first villager just got picked off. The second one looks like she's getting away with low HP, but now the towers are up, 2 towers out here for Recon. Dinky's gonna have to call back his forces, and look at that, that's a villager coming out here for Kaio. What is he up to? He's got a school of cavalry up, archer range on the way as well. And wait a second, that's a tower from Kaio, I'm just now realizing. That's a pink tower on the top of the hill. He's tower rushing Dinky, and look at that. Dinky's getting double teamed here. You see, there's the tower with the scout inside, arrow slits in placement on it as well. And that tower will start shooting at every single unit that pops out of that barracks. That's a big problem right now for Dinky, because not only is he forced to fight with Recon, he's also forced to fight with Kaio. So he's currently being double teamed. Looks like the stable is also making some cavalry out here. The longbows from Dinky are looping around. They're probably trying to hit those gold miners from the left, or maybe the food villagers from the left right now, but it's going to take a lot of time for them to loop around. Another tower is complete over here for Kaio, and that is now threatening the food income of Dinky. Dinky is under so much pressure over here. He could retaliate with the longbows, but let's not forget, right now, the players benefiting from this are the players that are just so far away from this one. So Kaio, Recon, and Dinky are committing a lot of resources and energy into damaging each other, while other players will just boom nice and comfy in their respective corners. Looks like Core started fishing as well. We also have some fishing eco as well for Recon, and that's going to be difficult to raid. That's the advantage that he has over Dinky King, because Dinky doesn't have fish. So this way, Recon is going to have an eco lead, and it looks like Recon and Kaio will force off Dinky King from another wood line, and that's going to be increasingly difficult to access for Dinky. So he's struggling to access wood, and that's a problem for a player that's trying to go for battering rams, as you see, spearman, longbows. First battering ram now coming out for Dinky. Looks like we're going to see horsemen come out from Recon as the longbows are looping around. They haven't found Kaio yet, I do believe, and even if they do, that base is very nice and compact, so it would be difficult to do damage in it. One knight pops out here for Kaio. It's going to intercept another villager from Dinky, and Dinky is just being smacked from multiple directions over here. You see knights are pursuing those villagers, and there's just nowhere to go for Dinky. He's losing villagers big time. Longbows are now back home. In the meantime, Snoopa is playing casual Song Dynasty 2 TC Boom. Szalami is playing 2 town centers as well with a lot of farms for the English. So you see, the players that are not actively engaging in these battles, they're just booming. So they're going to have a massive eco lead compared to the players that are forced to fight. Battering ram now out for Dinky, slowly taking down the towers, trying to buy himself some time over here. Core behind this one, just big chilling, dropping a second town center right now. He's gonna be on fish with 2 town centers. That's gonna be a great combination of eco. But hold on, we do have Nevix here playing pretty aggressive with the men-at-arms and longbows of the English. We haven't talked about him for so long. But Beastie, he's up to Castle Age. He's gonna have the knights out, and that it should be able to repel this aggression. A single knight might be insufficient, but once you have 2 or 3, there is no problems with that. Ragnitz Cathedral is in for Beastie, so he's going to look for those relics rather soon. In the meantime, for Nevix, he's still pretty far away from Castle Age, so he's gonna have to put up pressure with those man-at-arms and longbows for the next few minutes still. Battering ram now knocking away at that second tower out there. First relic being picked up by Beastie. He's escorting that prelate with 2 knights. Remember that now you can only fit 2 relics in the Ragnitz Cathedral, so that second relic that he's bringing in right now, that should fill up the Ragnitz Cathedral, giving you 600 gold per minute. More knights are now coming out from Beastie. He's playing 1 town center, but that's not unconventional at all, of course, with the HRE. It's a civilization that wants to go fast the Imperial Palace of Swabia in the end. Towers got taken down by Dinky, but I mean his lumberjacks are still pretty much exposed to any kind of raid coming in from any player, and his battering ram also get taken down. Barracks now being added here with the man-at-arms upgrade on the way for Beastie. So he's switching from knights to man-at-arms. He's got some hunt exposed over here. This will be scouted by Szalami, but Szalami doesn't have any forces to fight with, and that is a castle age coming in for Dinky. He's going to drop it right next to that forest. House of Luring also on the way for Recon, so both players getting up to castle age. Now, Recon is mining stone. He's currently at 250. But it's not impossible for him to commit some more villagers to stone and then drop a very aggressive castle right next to the base of Dinky, because this way he could do a lot of damage to Dinky's already heavily battered eco, so to say. Core, of course, 2 town centers with the French, fishing eco as well. He's just watching this and saying, oh yeah, I like this. Well, truth being told, he isn't really watching because he cannot see what the others are doing, but he knows that he's not getting pushed, so he's just going to focus on his eco as much as possible. Looks like the Knights and the men-at-arms of Beastie will force Navix back for the time being, and this is a concern for Navix because as safe as it is to be in a corner like Navix is, the concern for him is that he's gonna have to expand at some point. You see, we're going through the villager counts over here. Dinky's only at 29, 52 for Szalami. Kaio is at 53 right now. Knights now moving up. 61 for Core, 47 for Recon, or the count 63 for Snoopa. So the players that haven't really been engaging in active combat are in the 60s right now with the villager count. And look at that, town center now being dropped by Kaio. That's actually in the line of sight of that Imperial Palace from Snoopa. So Snoopa is going to figure out that he's right next to the French player over here. Doc now coming up for Dinky King, and indeed, take a look at Snoopa's POV, and he knows clearly that the second town center here from Kaio is coming up on that gold mine. So if he wants to push the French player out here, he can do that. He's dropping granaries right now. Looks like we're also seeing a tower expansion here for Beastie. He probably just wants to know who's in which direction, really. Because Beastie's in the middle of the map. We talked about this one, so he's exposed from multiple directions. He wants to have sufficient vision to make sure that he can react appropriately to potential surprise attacks. He's moving in with a couple of knights right now. His opponent, Nivix, is reaching castle age in this very moment. It looks like Beastie is not going to commit against that many forces out there. Minimal fighting between Recon and Dinky King right now. You get the feel that maybe they just signed a truce? You never know. Tower Elephants could be a possibility over here for Recon to try and push this one, but he's dropping a second dock, so we could see some naval combat coming in. Docks are up for Dinky, but he's only going for fishing ships right now. Kaio so far got away with that town center. There is no pressure coming from Snoopa, and look at that, Szalami now wants to enter the playing field. He's dropping the barracks. He's ready to go. He's been booming on 2 town centers using the English farming. He's probably going to jump on Snoopa's back here. That's probably the best thing that he can do. And look at that. I mean, for Core, he's just booming. He's just booming. He's mining stone now. And Beastie now tries to drop a castle in the face of Nivix here. That's gonna be a big failure. That castle is not going up. The longbows open fire on the villagers. Man-at-arms now torching down the castle here. And the villagers, I don't think they have the HP here to get this up. Indeed, Beastie is going to cancel this. He loses a lot of stone because that castle was heavily damaged as well. Now the man-at-arms are coming in though from Beastie. He doesn't have the heavy maces upgrade. So right now these man-at-arms are comparable. In fact, they are going to take a fight over here. Nivix, I'm not sure if he has clad armor. I would think he does not. Yeah, it's 4 melee and 4 melee as well. We have some extra ranged armor for Beastie, but that's not gonna be useful against those men-at-arms. And those are still feudal age longbows, so they wouldn't do a ton of damage anyways. Looks like indeed Snoopa is now going to be flanked by Szalami. Snoopa is going to respond by adding palace guards himself. He's got a pretty powerful economy, so that shouldn't be overlooked. Kaio just chilling on the northern side for the time being. Men-at-arms now from Szalami, trying to take down those towers. Beastie is going to call off his forces for the time being, and I do see a castle age coming in. No, it's actually Yuan Dynasty, because you already have the castle age with the Imperial Palace, so it's Yuan Dynasty coming in for Snoopa. Nevix right now focusing on an infantry-heavy unit composition. Keep in mind that he's in a corner, and he's gonna have to expand soon, but he's playing English, so he's gonna have a great food eco with the farms. Once he gets to Imperial, he's going to have the enclosures as well for gold, and look at that. That is a Dow coming in from Recon. This is the moment where he's going to find that there is someone else on the water as well. Response is going to be a Hawk from Core. Szalami assembling a force, getting ready to push the base of Snoopa here from the north. Beastie, with a pretty substantial force of men-at-arms now, he's gonna have the 200 maces upgrade as well, and he's getting ready for Imperial. He wants to go for that pass of Swabia, and indeed, he drops it right now. He also has a defensive castle on the right side, so any counterattacks from Nevix would have to get through that first. Quite a peaceful time over here between Dinky King and Recon, if I may say so. Looks like Kaio wants to enter this playground because he's now assembling a force of archers and arbaletier. Beastie, right now on the way to Imperial, he's gonna be the first one to reach Imp here, but I will think that he's going to be soon followed by players like Core or Szalami, so the players that weren't really pushed or weren't really forced to make army at the beginning. Multiple siege workshops coming in for Kaio, so he might be getting ready to level both Dinky and Recon. Let's not forget that Kaio wasn't really fighting, so Kaio has a way better eco than Dinky or Recon, and he could just fall on their bases from the north and level them in a second. A lot of things going on all across the map. We got some walls coming in here from Nevix. In the meantime, Core is still in Castle Age, but look at that little southern part of the map. This is what I'm looking at right now. That southern part of the map is completely under Core's control, and he's gonna be more than happy with that. Beastie on the other side is actually expanding in multiple directions with towers taking the hunts. Dinky's lumberjacking here is protected by multiple towers. Look at that, Kaio's actually mining gold right next to that. Now the knights are moving in. And this is what I was referring to. Kaio has been assembling a force quietly over here, and he could jump on the eco of Dinky. And look at that, the Buglaws are coming out. That is going to be 4 Buglaws, a 5th one joining the battle right now for Recon. And there is not a lot of combat vessels over here for Dinky. He's got 1 damaged Hawk. A couple of towers on the shoreline is going to help with this one. But guess what? Core arrives with his own Hawks over here to take down the fishing eco of Recon. These are not necessarily coordinated. This is about just doing as much damage to other players as possible, as it looks like now Szalami is going to open up against the base of Snoopa. Snoopa tried a conversion preemptively to prevent the man-at-arms from breaking in, and he was successful repelling that. Multiple defensive towers now coming in here for Snoopa. Network of citadels yet to be researched for Szalami. The defense here is strong. You have multiple nest of bees out there for Snoopa. On the water, looks like the Hawks will be sunk by the Buglaws. It's a big fleet of Buglaws we are talking about. On the right side, we have a bit of a skirmish as well by Nevix, but the big battles are happening in the base of Snoopa now. Villagers are being pulled from Szalami to try and burn down that nest of bees. Repairs are coming out for Snoopa as well. He's going to keep it alive with the repair villagers, and it looks like Szalami is going to be repelled. First Springald now coming out here for the teal player. He's going to open fire on that nest of bees. Is he firing? No, he's not using that Springald. That Springald right now for Szalami is idle. And that's obviously a concern, because he could start killing that nest of bees already. Still yet to open fire. The nest of bees stays alive for the time being. Springald now under attack by the Palace Guards here. Second Springald coming up as well. That nest of bees is trapped here between the villagers and the man-at-arms, and now the Springalds could finish it off. Another volley will wipe it out potentially. It's still alive. Villagers repairing one after another, and it looks like that nest of bees is still staying alive. That's the thing that's preventing Szalami from just flooding the base of Snoopa over here. Villagers being pulled by Szalami to try and keep that castle alive. On the right side, there were skirmishes back and forth between Beastie and Nevix, but not much. On the water though, look at that, the Buglaws are moving in from the Recon, and there is no response here right now for Core. That's a lot of Buglaws to fight against. They're not particularly effective, but just look at the numbers of them. There's a couple of Hawks now for Core here, but he's gonna need a lot more than that to deal with like 9 or so Buglaws. Beastie's now moving up with his own men-at-arms to the right side here, and what is that? Oh, it's just a lumber camp being attacked by towers. So Beastie moving up with his man-at-arms. Stonewall is now coming on here for Navix, so he knows that Beastie with Imperial Age could do a ton of damage. Navix is also up to Imperial, by the way, so he could get enclosures for himself. And, of course, he could get fully upgraded English men-at-arms. Those would still lose to the HRE man-at-arms fully upgraded, though. Looks like on the water, the Buglas have pretty much wiped out the entire fishing eco of Core, and Core is going to respond with a Carrack to this one. So not only is he going to have 2 Hawks on the battlefield, it's going to be some Carracks as well. On the left side, more Buglas coming in here for recon. He feels like a Bugla enjoyer over here because he's using like 10 of them right now. But Hawks in such numbers should be able to repel this one. Spin to win is the name of the game over here with the repair of the docks as well. Defensive towers on the shoreline could potentially assist in this battle as well. And it looks like this is gonna be sufficient for Dinky to hold off all of those Buglas. You gotta wonder if the next batch of Buglas is coming back actually for recon over here. Next batch of Buglas apparently being called back. In the meantime, looks like the men-at-arms are engaging the forces of Navix over here, but Beastie didn't think that there was gonna be so many forces over here for Navix potentially. He wasn't really accounting for those crossbowmen, and the crossbows are winning a big battle here for Navix. Now, Beastie is gonna get that castle up on the north, so nothing to be ashamed of, and he's going to deny the potential stonewalls there for Navix. That was the position that Navix wanted to stonewall. Beastie had to sacrifice some men-at-arms to get that castle up, but he was successful doing so. Look at this though from Core. He's just waiting. He's just waiting for the players to exhaust each other, to get a couple of players knocked out of the game, and then he's going to fall off, or not rather fall off, but rather just jump on the people that are still alive. Two-pronged attack coming in here from the Buglas. How many is that? I think it's like 10 plus Buglas to converge upon the docks of Dinky King. Here we go indeed, the Hawks will try to repel the first wave, but the second wave is just now coming in. That's a ton of Buglas we're talking about. Once again, spin to win is the name of the game, and now with the reinforcements coming in here for recon, the fleet of Dinky King is going to be insufficient to hold off so many Buglas. Most of those Hawks will sink to the bottom of this pond over here, and with that, the remaining bits of fishing eco that Dinky has should sink as well. Many of the Buglas are getting sunk here by the Hawks though, so you see the inefficiency of the Buglas show in this battle quite well. They do have high mobility, but their combat capabilities are quite terrible, and in fact, with new Hawks coming into this battle, you actually have a chance here for Dinky to hold this one. In the meantime, you see the Woes of Navix got denied by our orange player Beastie. Stonewall is now coming in for Core. So once again, he's playing this one patiently. He's playing a very defensive game and saying just, okay, let's wait for a couple of players to get knocked out before I get engaged at all. Longbows and men-at-arms now pushing up here for Szalami. He's still Castle Age, so is Snoopa, and while both of these players have been booming quite a lot recently, the thing is that they've been fighting for so long that other players took over in terms of economy. So both Szalami and Snoopa was untouched in the first part of the game, but now they're just exhausting each other. Because both of them are taking massive amounts of damage over here, especially Snoopa, because Szalami is winning this battle so far. Looks like a trebuchet is gonna get sniped down. Snoopa down to 100 population over here, repairing that trebuchet still. He's going to lose one, the second trebuchet could get taken down, and Szalami is trapping down town centers now. In fact, he's got 3 trebuchets out there with a network of castles bonus helping out. Range is being dropped right now by Snoopa, but keep in mind, Kaio could come in any time from the left side to finish off Snoopa, and now he's trapping the castle of Recon. Kaio was untouched for so long, and everybody around him was fighting. So this is Kaio's chance to just wipe out all the neighbors. On the right side, we do have a pretty substantial force of crossbows and man-at-arms pushing up here for Navix. This is not really a fight that Beastie wants to take. He's got some hand cannoneers in the mix, but that's a lot of crossbows we're talking about, and that's just going to wipe out all the infantry here from Beastie. As you see, Beastie is getting pushed back quite heavily over here. Just the 3 hand cannoneers isn't going to be enough to compensate for all those crossbows in the enemy army. In the meantime, Szalami is leveling the base of Snoopa over here. He took down the starting town center, now he's taking down the clock tower, so you gotta be careful with those landmarks out there. The Imperial Pass is on the left side, but everything else is on this screen. So you see Imperial Academy, Barbica, very close to each other, and Snoopa is in a tough spot, because he's at 92 population, only 11 army. That's the biggest problem right now for him. How is he going to stop Szalami here? Looks like we do have Dinky King sailing south here as Recon is trying to escape to the right side. Remember, Recon was being trapped and now being fired upon by cannons as well. And hang on, all the landmarks of Recon are here. Look at this. The House of Learning, the Dome of Fate, and the Starring Town Center are there. Now, if Recon loses all three of them, this expansion doesn't matter because he's going to get defeated. Looking at Recon's resources though, he could buy himself Imperial, rush up a landmark elsewhere, and keep himself alive. Now, look at this. Dinky also lost his own landmarks, but he's got the King's Palace out there, and he's expanding to the right side. You don't need all your landmarks, you just need to keep one alive. Recon could lose all of them over here because the House of Learning are here, and the other two landmarks, the Starting TC and the Dome of Fate, are also out there. He needs Imperial right now. Not because he wants to upgrade anything, he needs it before he loses all his landmarks. You see, the House of Learning is now down. Recon is gonna get defeated in 2 minutes if he doesn't get to Imperial with a landmark that's far away from that battle. Looks like the defensive castle here for Core is going to repel Dinky's ships. Szalami now leveling the base of Snoopa. Snoopa is coming in with some Lancers, coming in with some Horsemen, as the Longbows and the Metals will try to meet the Mangonels out there as well for Szalami. Looks like the first Mangonel is gonna get taken down by the cavalry. Second one is going to get knocked out from the battle as well. The third one also sniped, and there's a chance for the Trebuchets to be sniped as well. Great value over there for Snoopa. Vololo coming in here for Szalami. Snoopa stays over there. He's going to snipe the Trebuchets. Now tries to flee. Gets the conversion. Oh my goodness. Snoopa tried to snipe the trebuchets and then flee. The men-at-arms did body block the cavalry, and he was successful grabbing the Vololo. And now there is a lot of cavalry here for Szalami. Cavalry that's perfect to deal with all those remaining crossbowmen, and there is still one trebuchet to burn down those buildings with. I think the question becomes, who's gonna get knocked out first? Snoopa, Dinky, or Recon? Recon's base is getting leveled, and he is yet to start building that Imperial Age landmark. Dinky has one landmark left. More landmarks are there for Snoopa, but he's dying the fastest over here. And you see, Starring Town Center is gone. Recon is not an Imperial. I'm losing my words on this. He's building a TC, but he needs a landmark. He needs a landmark, the Imperial Age landmark, whatever it is. Because if this building goes down, he's out of this game. That's the last landmark he has, and it gets knocked out. Recon is out of the game. He's the first one to get knocked out. Kaio just destroyed his base, and it doesn't matter how many resources he had banked up, because, well, you don't have a landmark left. By the way, the villagers from knocked out players will continue working, so they will continue building that town center, continue gathering resources, but Recon is now out. He's the first player to get knocked out. You see, the town center was actually finished, but now there are neutral units out there. That's actually annoying for other players because they will deplete those gold deposits, by the way. Core is really just playing SimCity right now. Sitting back, you see, he's banking up resources, he's building up his force. Those are fully upgraded Royal Knights now. And it looks like now villagers are fleeing from Snoopa's base. Remember, Snoopa was close to being destroyed as well. Most of his landmarks are gone. The Barbican is now on fire, Imperial Academy, and the Astronomical Clock Tower already gone. The Imperial Palace is still there on the left side, but remember, this is a free-for-all. Kaio is not here for charity. Kaio could just say, hey, you are dying, I might as well finish you. And that's exactly what is going to be the case. And keep in mind, Dinky, he actually managed to reboom. Look at Dinky. The comeback is real. He's actually sending men-at-arms to Snoopa's base. Now you're gonna wonder if he's sending them to help out Snoopa against Szalami, or to finish off Snoopa here. There's only one landmark out here, and looks like they're just ignoring the crossbows, so you get the feel that they might be sent in here to try and battle Szalami. Yeah, you see, they're ignoring everything, they just run towards Szalami. Now obviously you can't just call someone your ally and not shoot at it, so your castles, your units that are right next to the enemies, they will still shoot at them. But you get the feel that Dinky King is sending reinforcement to try and save Snoopa, but I don't think he can do that. Because guess what? Now Kaio is sitting there like, hey, I just have a neighbor that's so close to dying, what if I finish him off? Or what if I go to Dinky King? Remember, Dinky is Castle Age. His only standing landmark is the King's Pass, which is, by the way, a very fragile landmark, only 2500 HP by default. Looks like the man-at-arms are coming in here to help, but I think Dinky's got different problems. I value his attempt to help out Snoopa, but I mean, he needs to focus on himself. You gotta be selfish in a free-for-all, because now those knights are coming in. The King's Pass is so close. I think it's to the south of this position, somewhere. Town centers don't matter because it's not the starting town center. All that matters is that King's Palace. That's the only landmark that Dinky has. You see, the Council Hall and the starting TC are gone. By the way, Kaio gets water this way, so he can start fishing himself or getting some combat ships out. Core will try to stop that with his own Carracks. On the right side, trench warfare between Nivix and Beastie. Nivix is still cornered in here, and that's a growing concern for him. Obviously, he's got infinite food and gold with the enclosures on the farms, but he needs to expand. It looks like cavalry is now moving in here from Kaio. He just needs to find that one landmark. That's the thing. Snoopa still with one landmark out there, but I think Szalami is very close to finding that. Both Snoopa and Dinky have one landmark left, the Imperial Palace and the King's Palace respectively. Who's gonna be the second one getting knocked out? Because I don't see either of them surviving right now. Their neighbors could just finish them off with a landmark snipe. Spearmen now being added here by Dinky, but those are lacking the veteran upgrade even, I believe. Whereas on the other side, those are elite knights we're talking about. Trebuchets are crawling up as well here for Kaio. This is exactly the moment he's been waiting for. He was patient, he was waiting until the neighbors exhaust each other and then just unleash his fully upgraded army. And you see, the starting base for Dinky is just gone. It's all about that one last remaining landmark. Trebs are now crawling up as well. Yeah, where's that landmark at? It's somewhere around over here. Oh, it's on this shoreline. This is definitely something that Kaio could snipe so easily. Looks like Snoopa got knocked out. It is the Imperial Palace that got taken down. That was his last standing landmark. So Szalami wipes out his neighbor, and look at who's joining the fun. It is going to be the Knights coming in from core. He's trying to jump on Beastie. Beastie and Nivix have been sending army into army here on this right-hand side front line, just grinding units into one another, taking significant casualties on both sides. And you see, Nivix still has a big army, Beastie still has a big army, but one thing that neither of them really have is mobility. So Core's fast-moving army, the Elite Knights, with some cannon support, those could easily get a tremendous amount of damage. Now it looks like Dinky, oh no, the slaughter. Oh, that's gonna be painful. I mean, he could lose this game with a landmark snipe, but you get the feel that he's just gonna get killed plain and simple by that cavalry. He's down to 80 villagers, and he's losing that number really fast over here. Even there's a bombard tower from Core shooting at it. The King's Palace is still standing, but Dinky is down to 60 population. And look at Core. I mean, he's just like, oh yeah, you're already dying. You're getting overrun by Kaio. I might as well just join the fun. It's like, I don't know, Core feels like this move from him feels like he was just playing, role-playing a vulture, really. It's like, oh, he's already dead, but I'm just gonna make sure he's even more dead. Or maybe he was just bored, because Core was playing SimCity for the last 40 minutes or so. So maybe he was like, okay, it's time for me to do something. Now, his base is very well set. So he's got stone walls, he's got fishing eco, he's got multiple town centers, full upgrades with French. Beastie and Nivix have been fighting one another for the last like 25 or so minutes, and this leaves them both exposed to aggression, but especially Beastie. Looks like Kaio is unaware of that last landmark, and that's the reason why he's not knocking out Dinky King here. But the moment Dinky is gone, there's a different problem coming up for Beastie. Finally, Kaio, who's got a pretty substantial army, he could be thinking about attacking Beastie, and we talked about this one. Beastie is at the middle of the map, which leaves him very exposed from all directions, and Core could come in from the south, Szalami could come in from the east, Nivix from the west. Oh no, the other way around. So Kaio from the west and Nivix from the east. And then, of course, Core from the south. Dinky is pretty much dead. So he's completely dead. He's no longer going to serve as a buffer. As we have a bit of a peaceful moment coming up here, this is something that we have to talk about. Sometimes helping out one player is reasonable because you want that player to act as a buffer. You want that player to be the guy getting punched in the face instead of you. So for Beastie, for example, keeping Dinky King alive would have been relatively valuable because he's acting as a buffer zone. Now, obviously, Beastie can't spare units here. Beastie's got a slow-moving army. He can't split his forces because he has to fight Nivix. But in the event that, let's say, like, if Beastie had a fast-moving army, like Knights, he probably could have tried helping out Dinky, maybe. Because keeping him alive a little longer buys him a lot of time to make sure he's not getting flanked from the left. Now Dinky, oh poor Dinky's getting leveled. Look at that free population. Where are those villagers at? Those gotta be villagers, maybe military actually. Oh, free villagers only, that's the landmark remaining. But, I mean, he's getting his entire base leveled the players that are attacking him just can't find the landmark. 2 population. One of them is a hero man-at-arms over here falling to the castle fire. There is only 1 villager left for Dinky somewhere. I don't know where this villager is at, but with the King's Paws getting taken down, Dinky is gonna get knocked out of this game. I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, he was about an 11 when it comes to being dead. His entire base was leveled, he's down to 1 population, so it really is not about that last landmark getting sniped. So Dinky is out as well, which leaves us with 5 players. And this is where things are getting ugly for Beastie. Because each of these players possesses 1 corner, which leaves them less vulnerable from attacks from multiple directions. And the player in the middle of that battlefield, is Beastie. Now, if Beastie is lucky, Kaio would actually focus on Szalami or vice versa. Looks like Beastie understands that he's now exposed on the left side, starts stonewalling that side. He's going for very population efficient units over here. Hand cannoneers, a lot of bombards, some mangonels in the mix as well. Some horsemen now hitting the field, but Navix is actually pushing him back. Remember, Navix only has to fight 1 player here right now, and that is Beastie. Navix has to defeat Beastie to get some more map control, and he knows that. Looks like we have a big naval combat coming out here between Kor and Kaio, fighting for a remaining fish, and more importantly, fighting for those naval trading posts. Because keep in mind that there are some naval trading posts to the south, and naval trade could be extremely powerful, especially for the French, and both of these players are playing French. So these naval trade posts that you see on the right side, those could be very valuable for both, and part of the reason why they're fighting each other is because of that. Now it looks like Kor is assembling a big force over here. He's ready to jump on Beastie. 4 bombards coming up, and Beastie is distracted. Beastie is distracted by Navix, and that is a concern. It's a growing concern for Beastie right now, because those knights and crossbows could break him very easily with bombard support. And once again, the player that's benefiting the most from this is right now actually Kaio, because he's just waiting for the others to try and push Beastie. And keeping your army alive is immensely valuable, because you never know when someone is going to try and backstab you. Looks like Beastie is pushing back the forces of Navix for the time being. Quite a lot of English trebuchets out there. These players have been just depleting each other so much. And that's a concern for both, but especially for Beastie. Because he has to focus all his attention to this right-hand side front over here, with all that English infantry attacking him continuously. But that leaves him exposed to an aggression coming in from Kor. Kor is moving in with the cavalry, he's got some bombards as well, and Beastie's gonna have to call off his forces, which means that he needs to surrender ground to Navix over here. He's being 2v1'd right now, and I mentioned this before. Free-for-alls are not about friendship, they're not about fairness, they're all about winning. They're all about backstabbing a player and just exploiting the weakness of one player. Right now, the weakest player is probably Beastie, at least in terms of positioning. In terms of economy, in terms of army, he's fine. But in terms of position, he's so vulnerable because he's sandwiched in between 4 players. He could be exposed from any direction. In fact, he is exposed from all directions. And you see now Kor is moving in for landmark snipe. The Aachen Chapel is gone. Beastie is going to pop the emergency repairs on the pass of Schwabia, and that's going to buy him a tremendous amount of time over here. The siege weapons are gone. Beastie called off his forces and he took down all the cannon, and that's going to buy him a lot of time. The pass of Schwabia is still standing. Emergency repairs coming in clutch. And this is why I was saying that Beastie, he's still looking strong, so his position is very much exposed. So the position that he's in right now is the worst among the 5 players, but it's not like he's going to get killed very easily here, because as you see, he's got emergency repairs, he's got a tremendous amount of firepower, but guess what? Now Navix is going to see that, hey, Beastie, you had to address that problem on the left side, I might as well push the right side. And remember, the Regnitz Cathedral is on the right side, so that could be exposed. You see, Tithe Barns already researched as well for Beastie, so he's getting a trickle of stone as well. And Szalami is also sending in some reinforcements. We got some Tia men-at-arms pushing Beastie as well. Beastie right now is fighting 1 versus 3. Being exposed in all directions, Kaio is the only person that's not fighting him. I think he's focused on water right now, and potentially assembling a big force to then unleash it on one of the unsuspecting players. Trebuchets are now set up here for Navix. He's shelling that castle right now. Emergency repairs once again coming in, and that's going to buy a lot of time for Beastie. Beastie cleaned up everything on the left, and now he's unleashing his force to the right side. And look at that firepower. That's 6 mangonels So many men-at-arms as well, but on the right side, you also see a tremendous amount of firepower available for Nevix, with a network of citadels bonus, crossbows as well, melting all those men-at-arms, and Beastie's forces are just evaporating here in this battle. Those crossbows and longbows as a combination come in clutch. You see most of those men-at-arms got wiped out so easily. We haven't really talked about Kaio or Szalami for a long time. You get the impression that they're both waiting for an opportunity. They're waiting for an exposed and weakened player to jump on them and then finish them off. Because we have 5 players, the number of players decreased, so you gotta be a lot more cautious with your moves. And there's the traders. There's the traders. You see Kaio, 300 gold and 150 wood to those trading posts. In fact, Kaio is winning water. Look at that. He's taking down the docks of Core over here, and this is what he was focusing on so much. This is why we didn't see a lot of forces on land from Kaio. He was focusing on winning the water because one of the easiest ways to get yourself set up with very much long-term gold income is naval trade, especially with the French. He has a substantial force of cavalry as well. Oh, whoa, look at that. Szalami is going mass horsemen. That could be a landmark snipe. We know that he likes to play cheesy. A landmark snipe is not impossible for him. I would think the target could be either Kaio or Beastie, but neither of those are easy targets. A wonder. A wonder was completed by Core. This is what Core was focusing on. In 15 minutes, he would win this game. But this is where it gets interesting. You might think, okay, I'm in a good position, but I get the feel that this is too premature for Core. Because here's the deal. The moment you get yourself a victory condition like that, either Sacred Sites or Wonder, more importantly, you put yourself a massive crosshair at your back. You are now the target. Everybody knows that you win this game if they don't destroy that Wonder in 15 minutes. So a completely different element of the mind games comes into play. Because the players will have to team up. Essentially, the other 4 players have to team up to destroy that Wonder. But what if someone is not in that team? Just think about that. Let's say Szalami is just waiting back at home with that force of cavalry. The other 3 players push towards that Wonder. Core is going to defend with everything he has, because he has to. Which means that everybody, potentially all other 3 players, will commit their efforts towards that Wonder, which leaves their bases exposed for a landmark snipe. But this is a very delicate dynamic, because think about it this way. Okay, let's say Szalami waits back at home, waits for the others to destroy the Wonder, and then tries to knock them out. But what if they can't destroy the Wonder? What if they can't destroy the Wonder because the defenses of Core are strong enough to repel 3 players? He's got a pretty decent resource bank, as you see. In that case, Szalami not teaming up with the others, I'm just taking Szalami as a random example, this is applicable to all players. But in that scenario, Szalami not teaming up with the others to help destroy the Wonder would yield a victory to Core because he can defend it for a long enough time. So this is a very delicate balance. Are you teaming up with the others to help out destroy the Wonder? Or are you waiting for them to sacrifice their forces doing so and then destroy them? It's a very delicate balance, I can tell you this one. 30 minutes left on the timer, and you could see that the first player to react to this one in a quite meaningful way is going to be Kaio. And this is what I was referring to. You don't want to be the guy that's doing the dirty work. You don't want to be the guy that's doing the majority of the job destroying that Wonder, because if you are the one doing that job, I have bad news for you. You leave your base exposed and you're vulnerable to attacks from others. Now, I wonder if that keep actually has boiling oil, because many of those knights seem to be heavily damaged already. Looks like this keep is gonna get taken out. Yeah, there is burning oil on this one. That's a little ambitious, I would say, from Kaio. He's going to take down this keep nonetheless, and now the mangonels are crawling up. But you see, do you see any forces from Szalami coming this way? You don't. In fact, you see Nevix and Beastie are also not responding yet. This is the thing, that the players are hesitant to just commit to a push against the Wonder player. Oh, wait a second, that's a Spirit Way. Holy smokes, I'm just now realizing. That was built by Snoopa the last second, so here's the deal. If you lose all your landmarks, you're out. So Snoopa tried getting up that landmark out there, as we do have a bit of a battle between the Knights of Core and Kaio. Kaio is going to lose all his siege weapons over here. So he tried to get that landmark up and avoid that defeat, but the landmark was finished after he lost all his landmarks. So that's the reason why it doesn't count. He lost all his landmarks, and then it was finished by the defeated villagers, essentially. So that's the reason why Snoopa still got knocked out, despite technically having a Spirit Way alive. That was finished after he was defeated. Now, looks like it is going to be Kaio mopping up the forces of Core, and you see that Core is up to Imperial with the College of Artillery, which allows him to go for Royal Cavalry and snipe siege weapons. Core is still with the Wonder Victory condition, but don't forget one thing. Having a Wonder is one thing. If a player gets defeated while possessing a Wonder, it still counts as a defeat, so you can landmark snipe Core. You don't have to destroy the Wonder specifically. If you destroy all 4 landmarks of Core, you also knock him out, regardless of whether or not that Wonder is still alive. Kaio is definitely the person that's committing the most to this one. Look at that. Szalami's got 2 scouts here. He's probably checking out what's going on, and transporters. You could technically use your Carracks to just blast through those walls, so I'm not sure why you need transporters, but this is what I was talking about. Right now, many of the players think, okay, I would just let someone do the dirty work for me, destroy that Wonder, but this is risky. Because the person that's benefiting from this sort of rivalry between the players, with 10 minutes left on the clock for a Wonder timer, is of course Core. Core is sitting there saying, okay, you guys will be fighting each other, I'm fine with that, because I have a Wonder countdown going on for me. Now, Nevix is starting to commit forces to this one, as you see, but his commitment is minimal. We're looking at 25 or so infantry on the screen, and Core's gonna have multiple defensive keeps. Core's got a huge resource bank. He's got a lot of elite Royal Knights, and keep in mind that you have to destroy that Wonder or all the landmarks out here. And Nevix is committing forces to this one a tiny bit. Really, the only person that's working towards that Wonder, though, is Kaio. Now, you got multiple layers of stone walls over here, which means that Knights themselves alone will be insufficient. You need something that destroys those walls and then takes down the Wonder. If the walls are gone, the Knights can finish off the Wonder, but you first need to take down those walls. Looks like the landing is complete, although sort of unnecessary, because actually, they didn't land. What are they doing? That's a lot of elite Knights that are just not landing right now. This might be a diversion, actually. This might be a diversion by Kaio. He's heading in that direction, and this is what I was talking about. The opportunistic approach. Beastie is saying, okay, Nevix and Kaio are committing efforts to destroy that Wonder. I will just destroy Nevix in the meantime. And he's basically gambling. That's a big gamble from Beastie, saying, okay, if Nevix is able to destroy the Wonder with the support of Kaio, I can get Core defeated essentially by them, and I can defeat my neighbor Nevix as well. But this is a massive gamble, because obviously if Beastie is now pushing Nevix, there's a chance Nevix calls off his forces, and the person to laugh last could be Core, because Core is saying, okay, you guys still keep killing each other, and I'm just going to sit on my Wonder. You see, Beastie is pushing deeper and deeper into Nevix's base. He doesn't care about the Wonder, he just wants to knock out his neighbor. And this is the problem here. This is the problem for all 4 players that are not Core. Now Nevix has to call back his forces to repel Beastie. Of course, you still have 8 minutes on the timer, so maybe Beastie is thinking, I defeat Nevix first and then go for the Wonder, but 8 minutes is not that much. 7 minutes ago, the Wonder was completed. 7 minutes have passed without any results so far for the 4 players. Szalami is not committing anything here, so you can see that he is just rallying cavalry back at home. He's playing full Vulture mode. He's waiting for the players to drain themselves dry in terms of resources or army, and then just unleash the hell with the cavalry on the weakened players. But Core is still completely fine with that Wonder, and the countdown is getting closer and closer. You see, now Nevix has to commit a lot of resources to defending himself. His army came back from the base of Core, cleans up most of the forces here from Beastie. Now the Mangonels are gonna get taken down, the castle is being trapped down, so looks like Nevix is going to live to see another day. Now Szalami is moving in with the cavalry though. Where is he heading though? Could he be heading towards Beastie? I feel like the direction of that cavalry indicates that. A chop through. Here we go, this is what I was talking about. The Vulture play, the opportunistic play. That you're not necessarily playing for the sure thing. You're not necessarily playing to knock out the Wonder player. You're trying to use opportunities. And that's exactly Szalami's plan. I think Szalami is just going to chop through while Beastie is distracted and then wait until the Wonder is destroyed. That's the smart play. Because if the Wonder is not destroyed and you knock out Beastie, you eliminate one of the players potentially fighting for that Wonder. Look at that D-Day though. The French Knights holding this off with so many hand cannoneers supporting them. Core is probably like 150 army. He actually has 87 eco still, but he just wiped out most of the cavalry from Kaio, and you see that timer is getting dangerously close, and the allies are nowhere close to that wonder. And this is the thing. They're just so busy fighting each other that they don't coordinate their efforts against the wonder player. But Beastie sees those. Beastie sees this, but remember, there's a lot of things that Beastie has to pay attention to. Beastie has to pay attention to Nevix attacking him. Beastie has to pay attention to pushing the wonder players. 6 minutes left on the clock over here for Core. And Szalami knows. Szalami is waiting for the opportunity. He's waiting for Core's wonder to be destroyed by Beastie. And if you look at Beastie's forces, most of that is knights and bombards. The bombards will be of no use once Beastie once Szalami breaks into Beastie's base. And the knights, I think their numbers will be heavily drained after a battle with Core. Looks like, what are they doing? What is Szalami up to? Maybe Szalami is realizing that it's actually going to be more and more problematic. That, I don't understand. I'm trying to find a reason why Szalami is moving up. He just went on to destroy a tower from Core, that's it. You gotta love how Szalami placed the tower behind the wood line of Beastie though. Because that way, he's preventing his opponent from re-walling that, and now everybody is converging on that wonder. Remember, so far Core was more than happy to see the rivalry between the neighbors and essentially the allies, so to say. The players that have allied against him. But now, he still is the one with the crosshair at his back. Because he is the one with that wonder, and now, with the wonder countdown getting close, everybody's going to start targeting him. Szalami is the only one that's not committing. He's playing a very opportunistic play over here, 4:30 left. Remember, you don't have to destroy the wonder necessarily, you're fine destroying the landmarks. Now, looking at the minimap, the landmarks, 3 of them are on the right side, I do believe. So those are actually pretty close to Beastie, but there is one landmark in the corner, I think. Looks like now the forces of Kaio, the forces of Beastie and Nevix are also converging upon this location. And here they go. They're coming in, they need to destroy Core right now. 4 minutes left on that wonder timer. Core is going to fight with everything he has right now. And looking at Core, he actually doesn't have a ton of resources to work with. He's got quite a lot of knights and hand cannoneers queued up, but that's it. Szalami behind this one, by the way, banking up 56,000 food, just casually booming in that corner. Obviously, he's playing an opportunistic play over here. He's got a couple of scouts over here. I think he just wants to know what's happening, whether he needs to commit or not. He's also capping sacred sites and whatnot, so really just hoping that his neighbors are going to finish him. And look at that, 97 horsemen. He's probably starting to delete villagers now and replace them with army. He wants to go for a landmark snipe, but he's waiting with it until the wonder is destroyed or Core is eliminated. Core actually is losing the School of Cavalry right now. The starting town center is probably close to that, and the College of Artillery is just to the south. So 3 out of the 4 landmarks that need to be sniped for Core to be defeated are actually on the screen. You see, the starting piece is actually gone now. The guild hall is the only one that stands. So here's the deal. Core, if he can keep the wonder alive for 3 more minutes, or that guild hall, he's gonna be fine. But now the walls are being shelled. Beastie's got a ton of bombards over here. And this is the thing. The moment the landmark, or rather the wonder, gets destroyed from Core, Szalami is going to jump. You see, Szalami is down to 8 villagers. He deleted everything. And I love this. Look at that. Stonewalling in the Berkshire Palace, because he knows that in such a scenario, in such a free-for-all, a landmark snipe is a reality. He's up to what is probably 150 plus horsemen. And remember, Beastie's got an opening in his base. Oh, he's going to Kaio. I think that's a mistake. That's a mistake. Beastie, I think, is the more dangerous player of the two. Because Beastie has been holding out so well recently against multiple attackers. Sure thing, Kaio is French and whatnot, but I think, like, if you take a look at the two players, Beastie is a better player than Kaio right now. He's the more dangerous player. And you see, Szalami isn't even waiting for Kaio. The wonder is still there, 2 minutes left on the clock. Szalami is finally going to commit and say, okay, they're likely getting that wonder destroyed even without Kaio. Nevix and Beastie should have sufficient army to destroy that, and now I will just send all my forces into Kaio's base. It remains to be seen if it is the right decision to target Kaio, or it should have been Beastie. The starting town center is over here, the School of Cavalry right next to it, the Red Palace out there. Red Pass is a very good defensive landmark, but it can only target one unit at a time with that arrow volley, and the Red Pass is getting sniped down over here. The Guild Hall, where's the Guild Hall at? That's the big question. Starting DC is gonna be gone in a second. School of Cavalry is getting taken down. Szalami is not finding the Guild Hall. 120 left on the Wonder Timer, by the way. Core is holding out still, and here's the deal. By trying to snipe the landmarks of Kaio, you make Kaio retreat. You make Kaio pull off his forces because he has to stay alive. He has to stay alive here. Starting Town Center now under attack. Beastie, or Szalami rather, can't find the Guild Hall though. He can't find the Guild Hall. Where is that? It should be on the left side. Yeah, it's here. Szalami doesn't know this. Szalami doesn't know this. The Wonder is now under attack. Beastie can take it down. And with that, the Wonder countdown is gonna be gone at 46 seconds. I presume that's too many bombards for Core to deal with. They're going to unleash hell on that Wonder. Trebuchet is also set up over here. The Wonder for Core is going down. Core is not going to get that win with 36 seconds left on the timer. He's alive still at 65 population, but he's now set back quite a bit. And now you see Szalami, all his forces getting cleaned up by Kaio. And this is why I said that maybe it would have been better to go for Beastie, because I think he knew about Beastie's position with the landmarks, not for Kaio. He's still missing that Guild Hall. And now Szalami sort of angered his neighbor. Core is not going to be a factor for a long time. In fact, Core might still go defeated if that final Guild Hall gets killed. Szalami is just struggling so much to find that landmark. This is gonna be painful. You know, when you're trying to landmark snipe, you're committing everything you have, and it's like, oh, where is that last landmark at? Maybe, just maybe, I really get the feel that it would have been better to knock out Beastie instead, because Beastie is a very dangerous player, and keep in mind that Beastie didn't lose a lot of units in that battle, so Beastie is still in a pretty good shape. Starting Town Center being repaired by Kaio, but oh, Szalami's heading towards that Guild Hall. Szalami's heading towards the Guild Hall. I think he's finally going to find it. Core, he still has his one Guild Hall left over there. Stonewall is attempted here by Kaio. Szalami finally finds it. The question is whether the Starting Town Center was already repaired. The Guild Hall is getting taken down even with the extra HP. Starting TC being repaired, but it's incomplete yet. All the villagers are being pulled by Kaio to repair, but it's going to be insufficient. The Guild Hall gets taken down, and with that, Kaio gets knocked out. Szalami is able to use this opportunity to knock out his neighbor, leaving us with only 4 players, one of which are heavily battered. Because remember, Core is like half dead right now. He sacrificed everything he had. And now the opening is there for Szalami to run in, but here's the problem. Beastie's back. This is why I think it would have been better to attack Beastie in the first place. Because you attack Beastie first, he can't really defend. But for Kaio, he wasn't walled, so sniping Kaio in the future would have been easier, because Kaio doesn't have walls, Beastie does. Core is actually alive, by the way, 49 population, and I want to highlight something. They didn't finish him off. That's a great talking point. We're going to talk about that in a second, that Core is not giving up. So here's the deal. Why did they not finish off Core? The answer is relatively simple. Imagine that you are Beastie right now. You commit your energy to finding that landmark, trying to snipe it, destroy the remaining base of Core. What will your neighbors do? Of course, they'll be attacking you. Just like as it is the dirty work to destroy the Wonder, it's also the dirty work to finish off a player. Right now, Core is no danger. He's not gonna be a danger for the next 10 or so minutes. Which means that you don't really want to commit your own forces to kill him, because if you commit your forces to kill him, your neighbors will commit their forces to kill you. So you're trying to sort of prioritize the more dangerous neighbor that you have, and right now Core is not dangerous, but don't sleep on him. By having Kaio knocked out, he has ultimate water control, which could give him naval trade, which could give him fish. Szalami is still sort of the dark horse of this game, so to say, because he's the one that hasn't been pushed at all. And I mean, he's sitting on a resource bank of 47,000 food, 22,000 gold, and a huge force of cavalry. And it looks like now he's heading towards Beastie. The question is, does Beastie have enough to stop this one? Because Szalami could easily knock out his other neighbor as well, and that would leave Navix the only player that can really fight against Szalami. Because Core, as we discussed, he's half dead right now. He needs a lot of time to recover. The opening is there. Here comes Szalami, and that's a huge force. How many units is that? I think it's like 40 knights and probably around 150 horsemen here. Bit of a traffic jam coming up. Beastie should see this one. I mean, there's no way that you don't spot this, and this is the problem. Beastie right now is not distracted. when he was trying to go for the Wonder, he was distracted. And remember, you have emergency repairs for the Holy Roman Empire, so you can buy yourself some time, and Beast is gonna have enough to respond to this one. Now, at least he's gonna have enough time to respond to this, rather. Whether he has enough forces, that's a different question. And now Nevix is gonna be more than happy about this one, because when this battle ends, Beastie could be depleted. And you see he's dropping defensive castles right next to those landmarks. The Pass of Swabia is going to be the primary target. Szalami doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to fight a single cavalry unit over here. He just wants to go for the landmarks. It's gonna be essentially an all-in from him. It's not really an all-in because it's not like he's out if he loses this battle, but it's all about sniping those landmarks. The Pass of Swabia is gone. The Aachen Chapel was the target of the emergency repairs. Szalami still has a pretty decent force of cavalry left, 176 population with 170 army on the screen. Bombards join the party as well. Starting town center though, defended by the keep. Ragnitz Cathedral is still out of sight here for Szalami, and this is what I was referring to. Beast has got the emergency repairs. Beast is a great player as well, so his response to such an unexpected event is going to be probably a little faster than what it would be for Kaio, for example. And now with the defensive castles, and of course the emergency repairs, which is something that buys a lot of time as well for Beastie. He's going to buy a lot of time for himself. Szalami still at 100 army though. Ragnitz Cathedral not a target. Beastie is committing all the villagers he has to the repairs. I wonder how much wood Beastie has to repair this one though. Starting town center still at 70% HP. Ragnitz Cathedral also at 70%. Emergency repairs almost recharged. This is going to be insufficient for Szalami. He's getting stopped over here. Beastie, he has enough firepower to stop this. Oh, this is so painful for Szalami now, because he now angered Beastie. Beastie is not going to fall to the same trick twice, and this is why I said that it probably would have been more useful for Szalami to try and snipe Beastie first, because Beastie has walls. So Szalami had to funnel his entire army through that narrow choke point, and that lost him so much time. And the same thing, the emergency repairs also lost a lot of time for Szalami, whereas if he targets Beastie first, he probably could have knocked him out, and then he could still go for Kaio, because Kaio with the French wouldn't have emergency repairs. Kaio with the French, well, he still would have the cavalry to match your numbers, but he wasn't walled, so it's much easier to just run into their base and start killing it. Looks like Szalami is now rebuilding his cavalry force. I mean, he has the resources for it. He just lost a ton right now. The biggest beneficiary of this one, though, is Nevix, because Nevix, he can now start attacking Beastie. Nevix hasn't lost a single unit for the last, I don't know, 5 or so minutes. And the other person that's really laughing at this, it's Kor once again. Because Kor wasn't killed. Kor wasn't finished off at all. And let's not forget, we're talking about French boom. So I get the fear that Kor could still be a factor in this game in the next 5 or so minutes. Maybe not 5, but maybe 10 minutes or so. Beastie rebuilt the wall at that chop through, so it's no longer going to be possible for Szalami to break in here. And you see Szalami is now massing a larger force of cavalry. He's trying to keep that tower alive, because that tower would help prevent that rewalling, but the rewall already happened. And now look at that. This is the other thing I was talking about. Beastie was holding out so well against attacks from multiple directions. He's, I think, clearly the best player in this lobby. And oftentimes, in these scenarios, double teaming the best player is a good scenario or a good setup, simply because if you don't do that, the best player in the lobby could just kill all of you. Especially if you're taking him on one by one. Looks like now it's a landmark snipe attempt by Beastie. Looks like this is something that he quickly learned from Szalami here. It's like, okay, so we're playing landmark snipe, I might as well go for that myself, but he didn't have the cavalry to do so. It's gonna be a great diversion though. So he distracted Nevix quite a bit, and he can use that to gain some ground. And hello there, who's back? Would you look at that? 150 population for Kor. It's not looking that bad anymore. And remember, no one is really bothering to push him, because if you commit energy to destroy a player that's currently very weak, you take away forces from your own base, leaving yourself exposed. Now, Szalami's got quite a lot of scouts over here. Those are going to be very cheap torch units. Not exactly sure what he's up to. He could just be sending them into those sacred sites, because remember, Beastie's capping sacred sites as well, and he's defending them with castles. Scouts would be a great, cheap throwaway unit. that you can use to decap those sacred sites. And now Szalami is adding some villagers as well. He understands that he had to rebuild that big force, and okay, he can do that once more, but if he loses all those forces, he won't be able to do it again. Insanely long battles here between Nevix and Beastie. And the magical thing here is that no one was able to capitalize on this. Nevix and Beastie have been fighting each other for the last 1 hour, and no one was able to finish off either of them. And that is a spectacular show from Beastie in particular, because Nevix is in the corner, so he wasn't really exposed. But Beastie could be attacked from multiple directions, yet no one was able to finish him off, despite him committing most of his energy fighting Nevix. Looks like Szalami really wants to decap that sacred side, but that castle has a bombard emplacement on it, it has the arrow fire, so most of these units from Szalami are getting cleaned up. Most of the action right now is coming down between Nevix and Beastie. If I wanted to make a bold prediction right now, I would say that Core has a chance to win this one. Because Core is gonna have the trade on the water very soon, I do believe. And that would give him an insane and very population-efficient resource income for a long time, and no one seems to care about him. He's in a great position to set up a big mass of elite lancers or elite knights with the French and just unleash them on one of the enemy bases. Big battle on this right side once again. Like, you see, these guys have been spending army after army into the grinder in this battlefield on the right side, and no one was able to gain any ground. Like, this was the same place that they've been fighting on for like the last 30 or so minutes. And that is just sort of signaling how well both of them are playing, because no one is really making a mistake large enough for the opponent to be able to exploit it. Now, Szalami is ready once again. He wants this. He wants the landmark snipe on Beastie. That's gonna be attempt number 2. Szalami is at 200 out of 200, only 150 cavalry though this time, so way less than what he tried the landmark snipe with previously. Beast is still at 180 population, and he has a huge resource bank as well. Remember, he's got the Ragnitz Cathedral working for him, he's got some of the sacred sites still under his control, and he's still able to access some of those neutral gold mines on the left side. In the meantime, Nevix is floating 70,000 food, but he's relatively low on gold, relatively low on wood. So replenishing all those hand cannoneers is going to be more and more difficult. Nevix, I feel like the lack of map control is starting to show right now. He has to add more farms because he needs more gold with the enclosures, but adding more farms also means he's getting a lot more food, so that's the reason why he's floating so much food in there. Beastie, with the extra map control he has, he's going to have a lot more resources to work with in the long run. And what is Core up to? 182 and 90 military actually. And there it is. Core is now trading on the water, and this is going to be completely uncontested naval trade, which is very effective for the French. And that's going to be a concern for others, because Core is back. Core is back, and right now he's the sleeping giant, so to say. No one seems to be caring about him, and at any point he could unleash a bunch of heavy cavalry and just devastate you. I feel like, as I said, no one wants to commit energy to destroy him, because that means that you make yourself vulnerable to your other neighbors. But because no one finished him off, he's gonna be given a chance to recover. Network of Citadels, bonus applied as well for Nevix, and that's making life more and more difficult for Beastie here if you take a look. Because that extra rate of fire, especially on those hand cannoneers, is making them deliver such a big punch, and there is no real counterpart from the HRE to that. The HRE have a great economy over here, Beastie's got a great resource bank, relatively population army composition as well, but they don't have a direct counterpart of this extra rate of fire, and that's a problem right now, because if it's hand cannoneer and men-at-arms versus hand cannoneer and men-at-arms, that's something that the English will eventually win, thanks to the hand cannoneers firing a lot faster. Trebuchet is also set up over here for Nevix. He's starting to shell those siege weapons in that position. Remember, shattering projectiles do area damage here for the English on their trebuchets, so you gotta be careful clustering up your siege like that if you're Beastie. Some of those traders for Core, by the way, these are not working to great effect, so he's gonna have to retarget those to the other docks, because right now those are essentially wasted workers. Szalami is still waiting. He's waiting for the opportunity to strike. Beastie getting pushed back here a tiny bit. I mean, the concern here right now for Beastie and Nevix is that at any moment, their neighbors could come in and punish either of them. Especially for Beastie, he's in the middle of the map still. And as I said, Core has been recovering for the last 15 or so minutes. So at any time, Core could come in with a bunch of elite knights. Not even to mention, of course, Szalami. Him being able to come in with cavalry once again to try and snipe the landmarks. And for Nevix, he's also in a bit of a tough spot because he could fall to the same thing. But at least he's in the corners, so he's a little less exposed, especially to Core. Now looks like Szalami is once again sending in scouts trying to decap the sacred site. That's not gonna happen. No chop through right now. A lot of traders, by the way, are idle on the shoreline. Those belonged to Kaio previously. And the chaser cannons. Chaser cannons for Szalami, actually. I'm just now realizing Szalami is adding ships here. He's trying to stop his opponent from trading. He's realizing that, oh shoot, Core is back. Core is back. And now Szalami, he cannot snipe Beastie right now. So he's going to try stopping Core from naval trade because he knows that given time, Core is going to be able to recover. And right now, Nevix and Beastie are depleting each other. Nevix and Beastie are both exposed as well to landmark snipes from the cavalry players, Szalami and Core. So for Szalami, if he's thinking ahead, he could say, my biggest rival in this game could actually be Core in the very long run. And look at that. Speaking of big rivalry, look who's back. That's about 60, 70 fully upgraded Elite Royal Knights that are now unleashing hell on the enemy base. Now, if you had a great demolition ship here, you could sink half of them, but Szalami doesn't, so those docks will be short-lived here. And this is an alarming sign for everybody, really, because Core has been in a great position for a long time. He actually has like 25% of the map under his control. He's probably the person with the largest, steady, and well-defendable map control. Beastie is able to access a lot of resources on the left side, but the problem for him, and that's the main concern, is that, oh, he's coming in with a landmark snipe once again, but that's going to be insufficient. There is no way he can snipe 4 landmarks with that many cavalry. So the concern here for Beastie is that he's got a lot of resources on the left side, but those are all raidable, and he could lose those territories. Whereas for Core, he's got a very, very safe base over here. Looks like a castle is attempted here by Nevix. Villagers will be denied by the men-at-arms, though. That was an ambitious and ballsy castle by Nevix, and it's not going up. The infantry and the cavalry is going to stop that one. Beastie blasted his way through the walls of Nevix on the north to try and go for that landmark snipe. Now he's going to call off the cannon, and look at that. Cavalry is moving in. Where are they? They must be going to Szalami. They must be going to Szalami. Core is saying, okay, as much as I said that Szalami thinks that his biggest rival in the very long run is going to be Core, Core could also think the same. And now with Carracks out there for Szalami to try and disrupt the trade, the motivation is there for Core to commit his cavalry against Szalami. Now here's where it gets interesting. Szalami is stonewalled, although, keep in mind, villagers from defeated players continue to work. Oh, Szalami is chopping into the base of Beastie once again. Oh, this could be so weird. Because Szalami could run into the base of Beastie, and Core is going to try doing the same thing. But keep in mind, Szalami on paper is stonewalled. Unless some villagers that were left over there by the dead players, in particular Snoopa, chop their way through. I don't think there is an opening on Szalami's one. Remember, they can't snipe all the landmarks because Szalami walled in the Berkshire Palace. That's the reason why he did that. Even if there's a chop through, the Berkshire Palace is impossible to be sniped by cavalry. So Szalami can actually commit his cavalry against Beastie, knowing that Core has no chance of sniping his landmarks. Here comes Core with the cavalry, and he's bumping into stone walls. Yeah, there is no way to get in for him. The question is whether Szalami is going to opt to fight this one. He shouldn't. These are Elite Royal Knights as compared to his own standard knights. But he's got Carracks on the water now, and that way he's disrupting Core's trade. In the meantime, Beastie started adding culverins here to try and battle those trebuchets. Nevix and Beastie just sending millions of units into the meat grinder here. Really, neither of the players managed to gain a single bit of ground here. Looks like some cavalry is in the base of Nevix over here. Core, he still has a substantial force of cavalry. He could use that to try and snipe Beastie, but he probably wanted to take out Szalami for the aforementioned reasons. Wingard Palace now the target of Beastie, but Beastie simply doesn't have enough cavalry for such landmark snipes. And speaking of landmark snipes, Szalami was still prepping that force, and Szalami sees that. Core doesn't see the forces of Szalami. He has no idea. Szalami obviously knows about this cavalry over here because he's got the tower spotting it. Szalami doesn't want to fight, and Core doesn't know Szalami is there. Now, whether Szalami would take that fight or not if he sees Core approaching is a big question, but Core doesn't know Szalami is there, so he's just going to call off his forces. Szalami is still waiting. I wonder what exactly he's waiting for. He's got the chop through complete, and there is an opening. I think he is waiting for some sort of indication of Beastie being weaker. He saw Core trying to get into his base. Maybe he's waiting... Yeah, that might be it actually. Maybe he's waiting for Core to retarget his cavalry. Because, remember, Core tried to snipe Szalami. So, Szalami, being a player that's full evolved, cannot be sniped. Maybe now Szalami is thinking that, okay, Core could target Beastie now, and I will just let Core do the dirty work. I will just let Core lose his cavalry trying to snipe Beastie, and then I go in and kill him. It's all about those mind games with 4 players still remaining. Quite a lot of Carracks out there for Szalami. And the question becomes different. Because remember, the last landmark for Core is in that corner. Which means that if that's the only landmark standing, and that would be the case if Core decided not to repair his starting landmarks, the School of Cavalry, the Town Center, and the College of Artillery, then technically Szalami could just land and snipe that last landmark. And part of the reason why Szalami might be waiting for so long, we obviously don't see his perspective on this. Look at that. All the hand cannoneers standing on top of the walls over here for some extra safety, some extra range and firepower. But here's the deal. Szalami might be waiting right now. With that force, he's waiting to see where his opponent's landmark is at. So he's probably looking at the map, trying to find it, maybe even committing some units to try and find it. But it's all about that. Looks like now it is going to be another attempt to go for a landmark snipe over here for Beastie. But the spearmen are standing strong. Look at that. The 300 warriors of Thermopylae here just stopping the cavalry from breaking in. Spearmen holding this off. Walls have been broken through now by the bombards, but most of the cavalry getting in is heavily damaged over here. That's going to be insufficient to snipe a landmark, and now Beastie's cannon are heavily exposed. Looks like the hand cannoneers will push it up and will try to snipe it. Now Core is coming in to try to snipe the castles here of Beastie, so Beastie's gonna be exposed to another player attacking him, and Beastie's in a tough spot now. In the meantime, Carracks are leveling the remaining base of Core over here, at least the buildings on the shoreline. And do we see some transporters come up for Szalami? That's the guild hall. It looks like the starting landmarks were rebuilt except for the School of Cavalry. You see that the School of Cavalry is right next to the town center that's still destroyed. So 3 landmarks would need to be sniped here for Szalami to knock out Core. Looks like most of the cavalry has been taken down over here. Beastie is really trying to get rid of Nevix somehow. I think Beastie understands that, okay, I'm in trouble because I will be exposed to Szalami now breaking through the walls over here, or chopping through rather. And then of course Core was also pushing me, so I need to deal with Nevix now. If I don't deal with Nevix, I will just get destroyed from 3 directions, and that's exactly what's about to happen. Now the cavalry is moving in from Szalami once again. Beastie's gonna have to call off all his forces to stop this one. Beastie currently at 200 population. He has the emergency repairs once again. This time around the numbers are weaker for Szalami than what they used to be in the previous attempt, and it looks like Core is calling off his forces. Core is saying, okay, I will just let you guys do the dirty work, I will just call off my forces, and once again, play very defensive. Core is very much an opportunist, and now Szalami gets a wonder up. This is what Szalami has been waiting for. He didn't have to spend on units for so long, he gets a wonder up. Obviously, this once again puts a massive crosshair at his back. But the reason why this is so good now is because you only have 4 players. And remember, no one wants to commit everything they have against the Wonder. Because if they do, then they are going to get exposed by their neighbors. And there's a second thing why this is so good for Szalami. Look at the location of the players now. There is no direct neighbor that's still alive for Szalami. Right now you have Beastie, you have Nevix and Core, and for Core and Nevix to reach the base of Szalami, they would essentially need to go through the base of Beastie. So it's going to be difficult to organize a push. Oh, this is so good here for Szalami. Taking a Wonder and building it is a massive risk that you're taking, so you gotta be very cautious about that one. But this, I think, is a good risk taken here by Szalami. It's in the far north corner. Keep in mind that Szalami, if he loses all his landmarks, the same applies to him as it applied to Kors, so he would get defeated regardless of whether or not the Wonder is standing. Walls are being broken through here. Szalami is going to try and blast his way through those walls. Beastie still has some positions over here with the gold mine. He's running towards the neutral castle right now, trying to save those villagers. Wasted on the left side, by the way, and you see, the villagers are still working from defeated players. So many of those resources actually got depleted by those villagers that are working, and this is what I was talking about. These are Snoopa's villagers, and they're actually chopping through the forest of Szalami. And Szalami's probably going to forget about that one, and that leaves him exposed. You would not think that the defeated players, essentially the ghosts of the defeated player, are going to haunt you over here, because they could chop through and then leave you exposed from that flank. Looks like transporters are ready for Szalami. He's going for a landmark snipe. There is some risk associated with this, because now I think Szalami is overextending a little bit. If Nivix and Beastie decide to settle their differences apart, then they could just double team Szalami and take down that Wonder, because Szalami's entire army is going to be near Kor's base. Kor's got a huge force over here of Elite Royal Knights. Szalami is going to plan that D-Day landing. But once again, Nivix and Beastie not committing against Szalami's push. Because, or Szalami's Wonder rather. Mainly because if Beastie commits against Szalami's Wonder, he leaves his back exposed to Nivix. And neither of the players want to give up on the position that they are in currently. If either of them moves out, the other one will just defeat him. So Beastie can't really move out because Nivix would just knock him out immediately. And the same applies to Nivix. And Kor, of course, he's just waiting for the other two players to try and push that. Looks like this is a diversion by Szalami. Look at this. He's sending in about 1/4 of his cavalry from the north, blasting through the walls, and diversion works so well. Look at this. The entire cavalry from Kor is moving to the north. This is clearly a diversion. This is like 1/4 of Szalami's force at best, and it looks like it is just heading to the north. And because Szalami found that landmark, Szalami probably was looking for it for so long, and he's realizing that the guild hall is in this corner. Now, keep in mind that the College of Artillery and the Starting Town Center was rebuilt, and now Kor is realizing, oh shoot, I need to protect my guild hall. The guild hall is gonna be gone no matter what, so it's gonna be coming down to the College of Artillery and the Starting Town Center. Guild hall now gone. Cavalry can start working their way towards the other two landmarks. Starting Town Center over here, College of Artillery out there as well. Both of them with a ton of HP, by the way. 6,500 and 9,500 respectively. But Kor's cavalry is nowhere to be found. And that's a concern. I think he didn't realize that Szalami is about to snipe his landmarks. He's trying to cut off that force. Okay, now he's heading towards those landmarks. It seemed like he was trying to cut off the majority of Szalami's force, but he has to address these people over here as well, burning down his landmarks. Now Szalami is coming in from the other direction as well. Szalami will ignore the knights. He won't fight the knights. He just wants the landmarks, and that's the concern that the Kor has right now. Because those buildings are damaged, and it's going to take time. Time for those knights to clean up those torch units, and here they go. You see, he's committing against the town center, just damaging it as much as possible, ignoring the knights completely because he knows fully well that it's all about destroying that town center, and most of the knights here from Kor can't access him. That's the magical thing. We're talking about melee units. He can't access them. He's trying to cut off the influx of those knights. He's trying to block them from reaching the College of Artillery. The town center is on fire. If the town center doesn't get repaired, it's gonna get burned down to the ground no matter what. Szalami is committing against the College of Artillery as well. Town center at 900 HP, College of Artillery down to 1900. I think Kor is out. Kor is gonna get sniped over here. He's going to clean up Szalami's forces, but Kor is getting knocked out by Szalami. He is going to be the 5th player being knocked out, with only 3 remain. Szalami, Beastie, and Nivix. On the north, you have Szalami with a 10-minute wonder countdown. The concern now for Szalami is that he knocked out Kor. But what now? How are you going to stop Beastie and Nivix? Szalami is low on gold, he's relatively low on wood. So replenishing those lost knights and horsemen is going to be challenging. And right now the problem that you're facing is that at this point, with that many bombards for Beastie, they can just take down your landmarks. Beastie or Nivix might actually end up winning this because Szalami still has to hold for 10 minutes, and if you look at his base, I mean, you see the King's Palace is over there on the south. That's the starting town center we're looking at. The Berkshire is on the front as well. And then you still have the Council Hall. That should be relatively close to the starting town center. And now you see Nevix and Beastie finally realize that they need to destroy that wonder. With Core being completely knocked out, they know fully well that if only one player commits to this, it's game over. If only Nevix or Beastie commit to this, Szalami has enough to fight this. This has to be a 2v1 because you need to guarantee that you overpower your enemy. Walls are being broken through over here. Keep in mind, right now you can't snipe the landmarks of Szalami because he's got stone walls, so you can't just run in with cavalry to do that. You need some heavy siege, trebuchets or bombards to blast your way through those walls. That's exactly what Beastie has. He's opening up a nice and wide gap over here. He doesn't want choke points. He wants to just march into the base of the opponent. Nevix is trying to do the same thing on the right side here. And with that, there's going to be an opening on two directions. Szalami has a huge force here, and remember, he's got the network of Citadels bonus also working for him for defense. Szalami is at 200 population, some infantry, some cavalry in the mix as well. It's all about that delay game. Now, unlike Core, who had a landmark that was far away from the other three, Szalami doesn't. Which means that if Szalami gets defeated here, or if he loses the Wonder or the landmarks, he's going to lose everything. It's not going to be the Core situation where he's going to be left alive with some tiny bits of economy left. Now you see, Beastie, I think he's aware of Nevix's forces. I'm fairly certain that they coordinated to a certain extent because they need to. They need to coordinate here. Neither of the players are strong enough to take down Szalami alone, or at least it's not gonna be guaranteed. Sacred Site Countdown started though for Beastie, and this takes it to a completely different level. Because Beastie, to a certain extent, he was playing this one selfishly, but that's how you have to play free-for-all. So no one can blame him for that. He's playing for the win, and here's the deal. The Sacred Site Countdown would win him the game at 1 minute or 1 hour 40 minutes. So if Szalami's Wonder is destroyed, Beastie pretty much wins this game. Because Nevix won't have the time to decap the Sacred Sites, and this is problematic for Nevix. Beastie is doing this so well. He's realizing that, okay, we both have to commit against Szalami. We can take down Szalami's Wonder in time. But if we both commit, we both lose our armies, and you don't have the chance to rebuild it in time to decap my Sacred Sites. Szalami is still at decent population though. The Berkshire Palace, the walls, or more precisely for the Berkshire Palace, are being blasted through. There's the Council Hall, starting town center, King's Palace. So all of them essentially on the same screen. Trebuchet is now moving up here for Nevix, getting caught off guard by Szalami. Szalami just needs to snap the heavy siege and prevent those units from breaking through the walls. Hand cannoneers won't be destroying those buildings fast enough here for Nevix. So you need that heavy siege. Many of those trebuchets got sniped over here. The Berkshire Palace unleashing hell with its cannon fire, the arrow fire as well. Szalami's population dropping quite rapidly though. Not sure if he can hold out long enough here. The walls are broken through. The cannons will start opening up on that Berkshire Palace, and Nevix is getting close to the other landmarks. Berkshire Palace now gone, leaving Szalami with just 3 landmarks. The King's Palace is very much exposed. That's the starting town center on the north, and then the Council Hall right next to it. You don't even target the Wonder here, you just go for the landmarks. Actually, that's the starting town center. I'm just now realizing. So it doesn't matter, really. If you want to go for a landmark snipe, you still have to get through that last layer of walls. The Council Hall, the King's Palace, those can be sacrificed here for Szalami. It's all about keeping that last layer of walls alive. And you do that by sniping siege. I would think that Szalami is going to try and snipe siege here. 5 minutes left on the clock. He needs to snipe Beastie's heavy siege. Because if the heavy siege, the bombards and the trebuchets are sniped, then there is going to be no tools to get through that final layer of walls. And if you don't get through the final layer of walls, you won't be able to snipe either the final landmark, the starting town center, or the Wonder here. Beastie is now crawling up over here. He's ready to start taking out those town centers. Szalami at 135 population. He's out of wood. He's out of gold. He's sniping the trebuchets right now, so he's going to get rid of that, but taking a quite ineffective fight against the hand cannoneers of Nevix on the right side. Now he's moving on left though against the bombards, and Beastie's bombards are quite heavily exposed here. Beastie's bombards are heavily exposed. The spearmen, the man-at-arms jump on them. Bit of a traffic jam over here with 4:30 left on the Wonder clock. Oh man, this is so painful. The Landsknechte are just wiping out most of the infantry here, but they don't care. They don't care about the infantry. All they care about is the bombards, and oh no, this is a disaster for Beastie. He's losing all the heavy siege. And here's the deal, Nevix has the infantry. but he can't get through those walls. Beastie has the siege, but he can't reach the walls to take them down. And it's very difficult. In fact, it's impossible for Nivix and Beastie to coordinate on a level which would allow them to use the melee, or rather the ranged units of Nivix, to take down the army of Szalami that's taking down those siege weapons. And that's the thing here. That's the thing. Szalami is using the fact that Beastie has no forces to defend those bombards with, and Nivix doesn't have heavy siege. Nivix doesn't have heavy siege, and all the bombards are gone. Nivix has the army here, right now, but he can't get through that final layer of walls. Szalami, 330 away from Wonder victory. He's actually adding some villagers on sheep right next to that town center. Szalami is completely out of gold, out of wood, and Szalami actually revolved these crossings. Oh, the madman. I mean, I love this move. Such a great move from Szalami. Because he knows that every single second he delays the opponent is so valuable, and without heavy siege, bombards or trebuchets, you can't get through those storm walls. Szalami is down to 130 population, 3 minutes left on the wonder timer. He's out of wood, he's out of gold, so the only unit that he can realistically make is now scouts, and he's doing that. I don't think that he should be fighting the hand cannoneers though. He can leave these guys be. He just needs to snipe siege at this point. Without siege, they can't get through that final layer of walls. That's all about that for Szalami. Szalami either wins this game in the next 3 minutes, or it's going to be Beastie's game. Because if Szalami loses the final town center or the wonder, then Szalami is out. And Beastie, remember, Beastie is going to win this game on a Sacred Site victory in like 6 minutes or so. So if Szalami doesn't win this game, Beastie is going to. Nivix at this point, he's in a pick your poison type of scenario. Nivix is actually down to 6 eco as well. Deleted everything, but is it too late? He's floating 75,000 food. He could sell a lot of that to replace it with army. Beastie is at 91 eco as well. I think Beastie needs to delete that as well. He needs to delete eco on... Oh, the chop through! The chop through actually is a reality, but it's hurting Beastie. Because that's the shortest path in. For some production buildings, that's the shortest path in. That's not a bug. That's just the shortest path, especially with Szalami revolving the middle. So Beastie set his rally point inside the base of Szalami, but that means that because Szalami revolved the front walls, those knights will just run into that castle fire that's helping Szalami take down a couple more of those knights. Beastie, as I said, no matter what happens, either Szalami wins this game in 1.5 minutes, or Beastie is going to win it in 5. Beastie is sitting on so many resources, he needs to delete every single villager. Delete villagers, replace with knights, because if you can get to Szalami's wonder and take him down, then you just have to defend your landmarks for 3 minutes, and that should be no problem against Nivix, especially because Nivix is also pretty depleted on army. Szalami getting another layer of walls up here. It's all about that time. 1 minute left on the clock for Szalami. And look at the trickle of units here for Nivix on the right side. A never-ending yellow line. We're seeing battering rams being added because the bombards or the trebuchets just take too much time to reach this battlefield. Looks like the first layer has been broken through. Battering rams could actually knock their way through those walls, but villagers can repair from behind. Szalami is going to try and take this choke point here. The bombards are getting through. 50 seconds left on the clock. The man-at-arms now jumping on the bombards though, and that is a big traffic jam. That's a huge traffic jam here for Beastie. He can't save his bombards, and now the scouts are coming from behind as well. The scouts are going to take down most of those bombards out there, and it's all about that heavy siege being gone. The rams are knocking their way through the walls on the northern side, but it's gonna be too late. The rams are too slow to reach the northern walls. Szalami sacrifices everything he has, all the scouts, all the man-at-arms to snipe the bombards. And he's going to succeed doing so. 2 more bombards remain for Beastie, actually. He has enough. Szalami is going to dive in once again to try and snipe them. One of them is going to be taken down. The second one is going to fail to reach the walls as well. 9 seconds left on the clock. Szalami is going to hold this one, and he's going to take this game. Oh my goodness. What an absolute madness. You probably now see why the pro players love these free-for-all games. It's just absolute level of madness. Whew, that was crazy, that's for sure. Looking at the stats over here, just look at those crazy timelines over here, the big swings. The colors aren't going to match the in-game colors. That's quite unfortunate because this is from a recorded game. So as you see, you're going to have to refer to the key at the bottom. But what I want to highlight over here real quickly is going to be the resources amassed. By the way, Beastie 1800 kills, Nivix 1500, by far the largest in the game. And you can explain it very easily why. I mean, they have been grinding forces against one another for a long, long time. Nivix with 230,000 food gathered in this game. Oh, what a crazy long game. And really, this just showcases how entertaining these FFA games can be. It's a completely different story from 1v1s, but the craziness level is something completely different. So I really hope that you enjoyed, especially that 69% scouting from Beastie. Very nice. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.